Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news info. There was tension today in Abuja as security operatives dispersed protesters demanding the release of the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. The protesters, led by publisher of Sahara reporter Omoyele Sowore, gathered at the Federal Secretariat before the crowd was dispersed with tear gas. Obong Usoro reports.
Protesters, led by Omoyele Sowore, assembled early in the front of Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, carrying banners reading "Free Nnamdi Kanu now" and "Justice for Biafra." According to some media reports, Sowore addressed the crowd, saying the detention of Kanu symbolizes a wider social injustice in Nigeria. Despite warnings from the police, the group pressed on and officers had to fire canisters of tear gas to disperse the gathering.
What did the man do? Yes. He do nothing. Nothing. People have said that the country. Nothing. When I look at eye, when I feel say good, when I continue. They should continue. They should continue what they are doing. If this is we are not here for violence. We are not here to commit any.
Police officers who spoke to Global Television off camera said the demonstration was unlawful and violated a court injunction, adding that they were forced to act in order to prevent a breakdown of law and order. The crackdown marks a new escalation in the standoff over Nnamdi Kanu's detention. Ubong Usoro, reporting for Global Television.
Meanwhile, thousands of commuters were left stranded for several hours Monday morning along the Abuja-Kefi Expressway following a massive traffic gridlock caused by military stop-and-check operations. Global Television correspondent Sadia Yakubu reports that the movement into Abuja was brought to a complete halt, leaving motorists and passengers frustrated and exhausted.
This is the ever-busy Abuja-Kefi Highway, a lifeline connecting Nasarawa State to the Federal Capital Territory. But today, it is at a standstill. Vehicles are locked in a long queue stretching for several kilometers with no sign of movement. As early as 5:30 a.m., commuters heading into the city found themselves trapped in the gridlock. Some frustrated passengers abandoned their vehicles and continued on foot. But even that offered no escape. The entire route was blocked. The situation was caused by military stop and search checkpoints mounted along the highway as troops intensified screening of vehicles and passengers entering the Federal Capital Territory. The exercise, according to reports, follows intelligence alerts about possible protests and unrest within Abuja. Meanwhile, hundreds of workers and traders commuting from Nasarawa and neighboring communities were forced to remain on the road for hours. Many are calling on authorities to find more efficient ways of conducting security checks without grounding movement. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
Despite warnings and security directives by the Nigerian Police Force and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, the organizers of the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest took to the streets of Abuja, triggering sweeping security lockdowns across the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. The protest, led by the activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore, defied a court order and law enforcement warning that barred demonstrators from approaching the presidential villa and other designation critical national asset and infrastructure. Sowore, convener of the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, had earlier warned security operators via social media, declaring that any brutality against peaceful protesters would be met with accountability. The Ondo State Governor, Lucky Ayedatiwa, has approved the disbursement of 2.396 billion naira in gratuity payments to retirees who exited the state civil service in 2016 and 2017. The announcement was made during a flag-off ceremony at the Coca Conference Hall in Governor's Office, Akure, where retirees received their check. This was contained in a statement issued via the government's official X handle. According to the statement, the disbursements will clear part of a decade-long backlog inherited from previous administrators. Over now to the Nigerian Senate has expressed deep concern over the growing safety lapses in the country's aviation sector, citing a recent incident involving an Air Peace aircraft at the Port Harcourt International Airport. Following the incident, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, in its parliamentary report, indicated the pilot and co-pilot for taking hard drugs and alcohol. The report noted that toxicological test results conducted on the flight crew turned out positive. The test indicated the presence of alcohol in the system of the crew, while another crew member also tested positive for the active compound found in cannabis, colloquially referred to as Indian hemp. Moving on now to the Nigerian Senate has called for the interrogation of mental health education into the national academic curriculum as part of efforts to address the growing psychological and emotional challenges facing the students and educators across the country. The chairman, Senate Committee on Health, Senator Dr. Ikbalebo Henry Banago, made the call during a mental health program organized by the Mandate Health Empowerment Initiative in Abuja. Delivering the keynote address, Banigo, who also served as Grand Patron of the Association of Mental Health Reform Organizations in Africa, underscored the strong link between mental health discipline and academic productivity. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has fixed October 22nd to October 26th for the distribution of Permanent Voters Card, PVCs, for citizens who registered during the recent Continuous Voters Registration, CVR, in Anambra State. The Commission disclosed this in a statement by Director, Voter Education and Publicity, Victoria Etta Messi, in Abuja, while advising registered voters who participated in the recently conducted CVR exercise in the state to visit the registration area where they originally registered to collect their PVCs. Etta Messi emphasized that PVC collection is by person, saying there will be no collection by proxy under any circumstances. Former Vice President Yemi Osibanjo has been appointed by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to head its election observation mission for the forthcoming presidential election in Côte d'Ivoire. In a statement from the community, the election is scheduled to be held on October 25, 2025, while the observation mission will be deployed from October 19 to 29, 2025, in accordance with the provisions of the ECOWAS Supplementary Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance. Now, the regional body said the deployment of the mission underscores ECOWAS' commitment to promoting peace, stability, and credible elections across West Africa. Katsina State has announced plans to flag off farmers' radio ME clinics and commission several other projects during Vice President Shettima's visit to the state, scheduled on Tuesday. Commissioner for Agriculture and Livestock, Professor Ahmed Bakori, said the farmers' radio station is expected to address aspects of state's agricultural production. Bakori noted that the state government is making arrangements to receive Shettima on Monday, where he expected to inaugurate projects executed by Governor Diko Rada on Tuesday. The National Agricultural Land Development Authority, NALDA, has signed a memorandum of understanding with private agribusiness firm Akirikin Noma as part of its intensified effort to boost food production through new partnerships. Speaking at the signing ceremony in Abuja, the agency's executive secretary, Engineer Carlinus Adebayo, explained that the agreement is strictly for the Ora Mega Farm and not for other NALDA farms across the country. Anete Patrick reports.
Adebayo said the partnership will help fast-track operations at the Ora site, which is part of NALDA's broader initiative to establish fully serviced agricultural clusters across Nigeria, each equipped with modern facilities such as hostels, warehouses, administrative offices, and mechanization hubs. He said the Ora farm is already taking shape with thousands of hectares cleared and prepared for cultivation under the Renewed Hope Mega Farm Settlement Project, designed to boost food production and empower rural communities.
We have started the project out of Ora in Kwara State, Irele in Ekiti State, and also in Bauchi State. And we do not think we need to finish the entire 5,000 hectares. before operation starts, because Ghana waits for no project launch. We do not believe that we have to complete it, then we'll call in the president to come and cut the tape before we start planting. We are trying to be proactive to make sure Nigerians get food at a cheap price.
On his part, Managing Director of Azikin Noma, Michael Adeshola, said the collaboration represents a major investment in Nigeria's agricultural transformation.
Import. We should be championing local raw materials for local markets, for whatever they want to sell in Nigeria. We have the land, we have the resources. And they said, okay, fine, we have aflatoxin problems, we have traceability problems, we have fumonisin problems. But there's no country without these problems, right? But what are the steps we are taking to solving these solutions? We need to equip our farmers with the right knowledge, the training, the extension, and hold them to ensure that they meet the quality standard.
The NALDA boss reaffirmed that the agency remains open to other partnerships that align with national food security goals, but stressed that the Azikin Noma MOU applies exclusively to the Oro Farm projects. He added that similar collaborations will be developed on a case-by-case basis for other states as the Renewed Hope Mega Farm initiative expands. The MOU signing coincided with activities marking World Food Day, symbolizing Nigeria's renewed commitment to ending hunger and building resilient food systems through strategic public-private partnership. Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News. Adebayo.
Improper waste disposal in major markets and residential areas across Nigeria is raising serious concerns, with traders and residents calling for government intervention. Over now to Sadia Yakubu, who brings us more details.
The problem is not limited to markets alone. In many residential areas, especially in low-income communities, residents dump waste in drainage channels and open spaces. This practice blocks waterways and worsens the flood during the rainy season, creating breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Despite repeated campaigns on proper waste disposal, compliance remains low.
It's actually hazardous because, of course, when people breathe foul air, it affects them indirectly, you know. That's why as I pass by, I have to use my handkerchief to cover my nose because, of course, I don't want to be affected by it.
Proper waste management requires collective efforts. Governments must improve waste collection systems while citizens take responsibilities for their environment.
This is very bad. It's not good for our health. You know, even what you're hearing is not really good. Since in primary school they are teaching us hygiene, and we are growing up to see this. It's very, very discouraging.
Improper waste disposal is not just an environmental issue, but a health crisis. Communities need consistent sensitization and better waste collection services to reduce health risk. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television.
Grief has enveloped the family of the Senate Minority Leader, Senator Patrick Abba Moro, following the tragic loss of his son, Peter, and grandson within the space of 2 days. Peter, who had recently completed his studies in Turkey, returned to Nigeria to participate in the National Youth Service Corps NYSC program. However, his life was cut short in a fatal motor accident along the Maraba axis of Nasarawa State, barely 24 hours after the burial of the grandson of the senator. The heartbreaking incident has thrown the lawmaker's family and close associates into mourning, with many describing the double tragedy as devastating. The remains of the deceased have been convened to Ubokolo in Okpo local government area of Benue State for burial. Meanwhile, sympathizers have continued to throng both the Abuja and Ubokolo residents of Senator Moro to commensurate with the bereaved family. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. The News Cycle returns. Nigeria win bronze at the 2025 Hockey AFCON. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, China International Business and Development Corporation has signed a strategic partnership agreement with some firms to strengthen and improve the ability of the companies to assess investments in projects and develop the country's economic sectors. In the brief remarks during the event held at the King's Court in Ikeja, Lagos State, President of the Nigeria-China Investment Club, Dr. Chidi Elenu, explained that the signing of the agreement was the first phase of the strategic collaboration and investment in developing projects in the critical sectors of the Nigerian economy, which China was more than ready to support. The agreement was facilitated by the Nigerian-China Investment Club, though its partnership will fast-track investment by supporting the firms in assessing the resources they need to grow, create jobs, and drive long-term economic growth. European Union countries have agreed to phase out their remaining gas imports from Russia by the end of 2027. Breaking a dependency the bloc has struggled to end despite Moscow's war on Ukraine. Energy ministers meeting in Luxembourg approved a plan by the European Commission to phase out both pipeline gas and liquefied natural gas imports from Russia, subject to approval by the bloc's parliament. The plan is part of the broader EU strategy to win the bloc of Russia energy supplies. On the foreign scene now, United Nations Under Secretary General of Humanitarian Affairs Tom Fletcher has met with Mohammed Mustafa, a Prime Minister of the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, to advance coordination and relief and reconstruction efforts in Gaza. Zara Nasiru has the report.
Fletcher told Mustafa that the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is a moment of great but precarious hope, adding that the delivery of aid must scale up rapidly and be linked with a durable peace process. Mustafa in turn stressed that the reconstruction of Gaza must be led by the Palestinian institutions with full support from UN agencies, and that the rebuilding plan must restore essential services, employment, and dignity for the people. In the meeting, the two agreed to intensify collaboration between UN operations and Palestinian government structures, emphasizing that bypassing local institutions would undermine the effectiveness and the legitimacy of relief work. As Gaza enters the fragile post-ceasefire phase, the Ramallah meeting signals a renewed push for unified action, humanitarian access, and institutional leadership. Zahra Nasser, reporting for Global TV News.
United States President Donald Trump has reaffirmed that the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas remains in effect despite fresh Israeli airstrikes on Gaza that left dozens dead. Trump made the comment while speaking with reporters aboard Air Force One, insisting that the truce he helped broker is intact. Mukhtar Qasim tells us more.
President Trump said reports of renewed violence did not signal the collapse of the ceasefire, suggesting instead that the attacks may have been carried out by rogue elements. He assured that any violations would be dealt with properly and thoroughly, while expressing optimism that calm would return. Trump said his administration continues to monitor the situation closely and remains committed to ensuring what he described as a peaceful and sustainable truce between Israel and Hamas.
Well, we're going to have to see what's happening. We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas. And as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that. You know, some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
Is the ceasefire still in place?
Yeah, it is.
The White House says Vice President J.D. Vance and other senior officials are expected to visit Israel in the coming days to assess development and strengthen efforts towards lasting peace in the region. Mukhtar Qasim, reporting for Global Television News.
Over now to sports decks now. 10-time African champion Super Falcons have commenced training in Togolese capital Lomé ahead of their 2026 Women African Cup of Nations final qualifying fixture against Benin Republic. 6-time African Player of the Year Asisat Oshoala was among the early birds in the Lomé camp, alongside new invitee Joy Omewa, as well as Turkey-based defender Tosin Demihi. China-based forward Folashade Ijemilusi and the home-based quicklet of goalkeeper Andeline Mabichi, defender Blessing Lavida and Miracle Useni, midfielder Taiwo Afolabi and forward Kafayat Musiri have also arrived. Head coach Justin Madubu has confirmed that the team has begun training sessions in Lome as they prepare to face the Benin senior women's team at the 2025 Capacity Stade de Quebec on Friday afternoon. Nigeria's men's hockey team has clinched the bronze medal at the 2025 Hockey African Cup of Nations after a commanding 3-1 victory over Kenya in the third-place playoff at the Suez Canal Authority Stadium in Ismailia, Egypt. The win capped a strong finish for the Nigerians in what was the 12th edition of the Continental Championship organized by the African Hockey Federation. The tournament, held concurrently with the women's competition, brought together Africa's best national sides for the 2 weeks of high-intensity action. Still on sports, Flamingo head coach Bankole Olowokere blamed missed chances for his side's heavy defeat to Canada. The Nigerian girls started their campaign at the 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup with a 4-1 loss to the North Americans. Canada took the lead in the second minute through Gabriela Isoki. Now that's it on Global TV News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @GlobalTVNG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good evening.